I'd like to welcome you to the Lighthouse Project. Tonight we're continuing our series of spiritual preparation for the holiday of Pesach, doing a step-by-step guide to Nisan, the month of miracles. Before we get started, we'll give an honorable mention to our nightly co-sponsors, which is Anonymous, doing this for the Refuah Shelema of Chava Bat Rachel and Moshe Ben Gilson. And thanks to Gedalia for the amazing classes. We appreciate them. I also appreciate them. Thank God for Gedalia. Also, this particular class has its own sponsors. We have the Issachar and Zevulun sponsorship with H&M Builders, the Dornbush family, doing this in memory of their grandfather, in honor of the Dornbush family. And Be'ezrat Hashem, that the Dornbush family have continued success. Bracha v'atzlacha, refuah, ahava, achdut, smachot, and Be'ezrat Hashem, all the Torah's blessings should come on the head of that family. We also have Esther Stacy Bouton, who is doing this in honor of her sons Yonatan, Michael, and Eliyahu, and Shalom ben Esther. Be'ezrat Hashem, that Esther and her family have bracha v'atzlacha, have a great Chodesh Nisan, have a great holiday season, and Be'ezrat Hashem, all the Torah blessings come on that family's life as well. We also have another sponsor, Mr. Mike Klein, doing this for the Refuah Shelema of Yoelet Esther Bat Bela. Mike Klein, Baruch haba to being one of our new sponsors. May Hashem bless you. You should have bracha and tzlacha in all that you do, and that Be'ezrat Hashem, Hashem give you se'ata deshmaya b'chol ma'aseh yadecha. Okay, let's get started. Step-by-step guide to Nisan, the month of miracles. Something of a checklist of things that we want to get done as this month comes upon us. And for those of us that know the value of getting plugged into these special spiritual prime times that are available to us in different times of the Jewish year, the month of Nisan is the main event of all main events. This is one of the biggest Rosh Chodesh or biggest months of the entire upcoming year. The Lekach Tov says, "V'chen katvu anshe knesset hagdola." So wrote the rabbis of the Great Assembly. Bechodesh harishon hu chodesh Nisan. On the first month, that is the month of Nisan. Nisan shebo naasim nisim Yisrael. Nisan, this is the month where the miracles are done for the nation of Israel. Ubo yatzu me'avdut lecherut, and that's the month that they came out of slavery into freedom. So the Lekach Tov is giving us a preface to what this month is. Almost like a one-line or one tagline of what to expect when Nisan comes around. Like a great introduction. However, tonight we will list the month's entire list of auspicious times that you can get plugged in. Special times, their significance, their meanings, the segulot that we can activate, and how we can improve our chances of having a successful and fruitful year in all we do. There are some very unique spiritual pit stops that are available during this month that, should we get plugged in, it will reap huge dividends. We have, I'll list them before we get started. Rosh Chodesh Nisan, which is the Rosh Chodesh to the entire year. Birkat HaIlanot, the blessing of the budding trees. We have Birkat HaNesi'im, the blessing of the 12 princes from each tribe. We have Shabbat HaGadol, the biggest Shabbat of the year, the Shabbat right before Pesach. We have Pesach, the actual holiday. We have the Seder, which it's a unique night with its mitzvot and its customs, which warrants its own lesson. We have the 7th day of Pesach, which is the day of the splitting of the seeds, the actual date that it happened on. And we also have the last day of Pesach. In the Moroccan household, we call it the Mimuna night, and we'll explain that as well. And then towards the end of the month, we have the Omer, which is a spiritual refinement between man and man, man and God, leading to the receiving of the Torah in Shavuot. I'll have to stop us along the way. This entire month, you can really be busy almost every single day getting plugged in, and it really really determines the entire rest of the year. Welcome. Now, all along these spiritual pit stops that we're talking about, you will find that there's incredible opportunities to get plugged in and elevate yourself in ways that are only available in the month of Nisan. And you'll see that what we're going to get plugged into during Nisan will have a long-lasting power for the entire upcoming year. And along the way, we will answer questions like, what was the first mitzvah God instructed Moshe and the Jewish people? When did we begin to follow the lunar year, or the Jewish lunar year? When was the physical world created? And when was the spiritual world created? What's the difference between a regular Shabbat and Shabbat Hagadol? And why do we bless the budding trees on this month? And what is the meaning or the hidden meaning between the famous Moroccan night called the Mimuna at the end of Pesach? Okay, let's begin our spiritual preparation for Pesach. And this step-by-step guide to this month of miracles. Nisan is the beginning of the year, as we learned in previous lessons. However, tonight I'd like to give a Talmudic source for it. The Talmud in Masechet Rosh Hashanah, on the 10th page, on the second side, and on the 11th page on the first side, cites two opinions. It gives two different opinions as to the date that God created the universe. This is very interesting. According to Rabbi Eliezer, the world was created in Tishrei, the way that we all know it. And it got created on the 6th day of creation, which is the day that Adam and Eve were created. And we call that day, 6th day of creation, is the first of Tishrei. And that's the day that we typically celebrate Rosh Hashanah on. And that's what we typically consider the new year. That is the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. According to Rabbi Yoshua, the world was created in Nisan. And it is backed up and interpreted by many Kabbalists, many Hasidic masters, and cited in many places in the Torah, in the Nevi'im, in the Ketuvim, and just as late as Megillat Esther. So we have two places where we see the beginning of the years, sometimes Nisan, sometimes Tishrei. But the deeper meaning of these two views is that the physical world was created on Tishrei, while the thought of the world, or the idea of creation, as well as the souls and the neshamot, that was created on Nisan. In addition to figuring out what's the first of the year, the head of the year, right before Yetziat Mitzrayim, in Sefer Shemot, it brings it's in Perek Yud Bet, the second pasuk says, "HaChodesh hazeh lachem Rosh Chodashim." This is the month that's going to be the head of all your months. Rishon hu lachem lechodshei Hashana. It will be the first to all the rest of the months of the year, referring to Nisan. We just read this. We just finished the book of Shemot. Furthermore, it says, Hashem tziva al Moshe v'Aharon. God commanded Moshe and Aharon, she'achodesh hazeh, on this month, again referring to Nisan, shebo itchila Yetziat Mitzrayim. That's when the Exodus, Yetziat Mitzrayim, is going to begin on. Hiyeh avurenu hachodesh harishon, will be forever for us the first month of the year. Ve'hachashuv beyoter, and the most important. Start to get a feeling that Nisan is a very important month. Furthermore, Rishon hu lema ne'emar, they say, and why was it called the first? Why is it mentioned as the first month of the year? Lefi shehu omer, Shamor et chodesh ha'aviv v'chulei. Because it states, we have a pasuk that says that we have to guard the season of spring, which means that we have to make sure that the season of spring comes out around the same time of Pesach. We spoke about this in previous lessons about the lunar year, about Adar Aleph or Adar Bet. And why we have that extra month is because we're always trying to secure that Pesach lands on spring and in Nisan. And the reason it says Shamor et HaPesach la'aviv ve'aviv lePesach she'yavo aviv bizmano. So like that we always have spring and Pesach land on the same time. Now, being that we secure that the springtime and Pesach are intertwined and are always happening at the same time, springtime is actually hinted in the name of the month of Nisan. They say, the rabbis tell us, don't call it Chodesh Nisan, call it Chodesh Nitzan. The word Nitzan in Hebrew means bud, like a budding flower. Call it the month that buds, you can say. Chodesh Nitzan. And if you were living in Brooklyn right now, and you would say, call a Syrian guy to read the word Nitzan, you know how they would read it? Nisan. Their tzaddik is like a samech. So you can see that there's a hidden meaning that is Chodesh Nitzan. Now, ironically, buds do develop on this month. If you look around you, all the trees are now budding. Very, very apropos to the name of the month. And as the bud develops into a flower, or into fruit, or into crops, or into agriculture, which basically eventually turns into Parnasa. Back in the day, agriculture was the business. That was the order of the day. That's how people went and lived and supported their families. So this was the beginning of the Parnasa. The small little buds on the trees. So the name Nitzan or the name Nisan is hinting to the potential of the budding month of the year. That's what this month is. And it comes into fruition throughout the course of the year. You see everything that it starts to bud now in Nisan. Throughout the year, you see things develop in 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, but it starts in Nisan. Nisan basically represents the huge potential that we have for the rest of the year. The Lekach Tov says, "B'chodesh harishon hu chodesh Nisan." On the first month, what is the first month? Chodesh Nisan. That's the first month. Nisan shebo ne'asim nisim le'Yisrael. Nisan, that's the month where miracles happen to the Jews. Ubo yatzu ma'avdut lecherut. We just mentioned it before. Let's zone in again. Lekach Tov is telling us something huge over here. This is the month shene'asim nisim le'Yisrael. He's giving us a solid statement. This is the month when miracles happen to the Jewish people. Since we are dealing now with 2 New Years, we have the New Year in Nisan and the New Year in Tishrei. The Arizal, you're more than welcome to close the door. The Arizal gave us a great insight to this. He says, look at how the world behaves in Nisan. The trees begin to bud, the earth renews itself, the crops begin to give growth. He says, pay attention to it. That's the energy of this month. Where on Rosh Hashanah, it's the beginning of the world, meaning it's the birth of the physical, like we said. The birth of humanity, the birth of Adam HaRishon. What's Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah, most people say it's Earth Day. In Judaism, it's the birthday of the world. Why? Because the physical part, the earth, came into play on that. Human beings, humankind came into play when? On Tishrei. So we see that Nisan is a spiritual thing, where Tishrei is a physical thing. as a matter of fact, anything that's physical gets judged on Rosh Hashanah. What happens on Rosh Hashanah? We say, Kol Ba'e Olam, all the creations of the world get judged on that day. Kebnei Meron. What's Kebnei Meron? So the rabbis tell us, it's like, how do you bring all the sheep into their enclosure? You line them up, and one by one they pass. And that's what the rabbis tell us happens on Rosh Hashanah. Everybody gets squeezed in, and one by one they get judged. And that's for everybody. That's for Jews, that's for Gentiles, that's for animals, that's for the whole planet. Anything that's physical gets judged on Tishrei. Nisan, that we said it's Chag HaAviv, we said many times that it's the holiday of the spring, Chag HaAviv, and we said Aviv corresponds to, cut it down the middle, Av Yudbet, the father of 12, the father of the 12 months. So it's for the spiritual, for the souls. So for Judaism, Nisan hu Rosh Hashanah, because we're more concerned with the spiritual than the physical. So the new year for the Jewish soul is on Nisan. For the physical part, that's Tishrei. Furthermore, the rabbis tell us, Nimtza beTishrei nivra olam. It is a known fact that on Tishrei the world got created. Ubenisan nidgala chidush. And on Nisan, all of a sudden, the chidush, the newness, what's the right word for it? It renewed itself in Nisan. 6 months after the world got created, all of a sudden there was a newness to the world. And whatever you find on the month of Tishrei, is available in Nisan as well. Now, as much as they are very different, they're very similar in many ways. So it's nice to tap into Nisan the way that we tap into Tishrei, which is a chidush to most. This is brand new. Because typically we don't prepare for Nisan the way we prepare for Tishrei. Tishrei is Elul, Slichot, what a feeling. I mean, we prepare for Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. But yet the rabbis are telling us whatever is available in Tishrei is available in Nisan. So there's a chidush over here. There's a different type of spiritual work available to us. There's something that we can tap into over here, that maybe our entire life we haven't been privy to this information. But tonight we're unraveling the month of Nisan and everything that it has to offer us. So first and foremost, it's a new year. So this renewal, this hitchut, begins on Rosh Chodesh. And we have a custom on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. What's that custom? We perform the blessing on the blooming trees. It's called Birkat HaIlanot. It's a special mitzvah that can be fulfilled only once a year. It's a one-time-a-year mitzvah.
On Rosh Chodesh?
Preferably. Those that is rizim la mitzvot, you see them right after Shachrit, they're looking for a tree. They're looking for a budding tree to make that beracha. I know that when I lived in South Beach on 41st, there was a tree, it was marked, that everybody would go to. And I know the rabbis have special people in the community that have a special, these trees in their backyards, that they invite everybody, or they leave the backyard door open, so they can all go in and make those berachot. This is a real mitzvah that you should pick up along the way. And basically we fulfill this beracha by performing a blessing over a tree. That's it. We have different types of mitzvot. Sometimes you got to go inside the sukkah. Sometimes you have to dip. Sometimes you have to wrap the tefillin. This particular one, you find a budding fruit tree and you say a bracha in front of it. That's this mitzvah. The bracha goes, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, shelo chisar be'olamo klum. Uvara bo briot tovot v'ilanot tovot lehanot bahem bnei adam. What's the translation of this bracha? Blessed are you, Lord God, King of the universe, who has made nothing lacking in his world, and created in it goodly creatures and goodly trees to give mankind pleasure. Okay.
If it's flowering, is it too late? Or is it budding, just budding?
I'm going to give you all the details right now. This blessing is said just once a year, like we said. Although it's ideal to say the blessing during the month of Nisan, and preferably on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, but b'diavad, another post facto, if you didn't say till the month of Iyar, it's still permitted to say the blessing. You are permitted to say this beracha even on Shabbat and even on the holiday. Let's say you're so busy that you weren't able to do it till Shabbat, till the rabbi mentions it in shul. Or until the few days that you have off on Pesach and you want to perform this mitzvah, you can do it. Now, preferably, the blessing should be said when seeing two trees at one time. So this is the unique thing that you have to find. Two trees, different species, and budding at the same time to say the beracha. So preferably it's that. However, if there's only one tree, the blessing can still be said. And the blessing should not be said on trees which grow fruits that are cross-grafted from two species. In other words, we have nowadays fruits that are married. There's an orange that was put together with a grapefruit. Can't bless on that. You have an apple that got cross-grafted with a pear. Can't bless on that. Has to be of one species. Now, according to the Kabbalah, this blessing has a special significance. What are we doing? Why are we standing in front of a tree blessing on... isn't that Tu B'Shvat? Wasn't that 2 months ago? What is this thing now? So sometimes you go into the Kabbalah or the sages share with us so we can understand what's really going on here beneath the surface. Now, when Jews are making this blessing, they are able to redeem souls who have been reincarnated in the vegetal realm. So we know that we have Domem, Tzomeach, Chai, Medaber. 4 types of levels of life forms. Domem, like a rock. Tzomeach, plants, vegetation. Chai, animals. Medaber, speaking. That's the human being. So 4 different levels. We spoke about it in our previous lesson about heaven, hell, and reincarnations. We went really into, in Olam Haba, we went into depth about this particular concept. But we know that certain times people have gone the wrong way, and part of their tikkun, of their repair of their neshama, they get downgraded a level, and they come back as an animal. Lo alenu velo alechem, they went off, their tikkun requires them to come back as a plant or as a tree. So the rabbis tell us here in the Kabbalah that by saying the beracha over these budding trees, it's making it possible for them to continue or to complete their soul rectification, their tikkun. So as you're standing there in front of these budding trees, souls that are in these plants get to move up a notch. Or possibly fulfill their tikkun and move on to the next level. That's why we should have it with intense kavanah. It's not like, okay, next, let me get into my car. Think about it. You're freeing up Jewish souls that are caught up over there. Go run to that mitzvah. This is a mitzvah that you're doing. You don't even know the person. You don't even know what's going on. You can't even visibly see it. Go, chase it. Help them out. Help them out.
So you believe souls, Jewish souls, are reincarnated in these budding trees?
100%. That's why we do it. That's what Birkat HaIlanot is. Kabbalistically, even it's stated in many places. But yes, we also have it at the Gilgulim. Or you could say not only neshamot, also they call it nitzotzot, parts of a neshama. Sometimes get reincarnated, so it's a part that needs a rectification. In addition, it's recommended that following the blessing to donate 3 coins of tzedakah. And this is corresponding to the 3 levels of a soul, which they call naran, nefesh, ruach, neshama. These are 3 different elements that the neshama has, and we have even more. There's 5 parts to a Jewish neshama. But the rabbis tell us, give 3 coins corresponding to the nefesh, ruach, and neshama that you have inside of you. And the Ben Ish Chai says, goes furthermore, give 4 coins for anyone who's deceased, and this corresponds to God's name Yud Kei Vav Kei, and it helps the people that are deceased as well. And if you were able to get a Sidur and you read the Lashem Yichud before, very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff what it says. Well, I'm here now getting ready to say this Beracha that corresponds, and it goes into the whole story of what you're doing over there. Very interesting. We move on. Still along that particular day of Rosh Chodesh Nisan, let's get some history behind it. It's also known for being the beginning of the Jewish lunar calendar. Rosh Chodesh Nisan was the first day that the Jewish lunar calendar started. If you ever wanted to know that. The way that it started was shortly before sundown on the 29th of Adar. On the 1st of Nisan, God showed Moshe the crescent new moon and told him, when you see the moon like this, sanctify the new month. He showed him. And this ushered in the first Jewish month, and it commenced the lunar calendar, which we've been following ever since. And this also is the first mitzvah that the Jews were given as a nation. The first mitzvah in the Torah is pru'urvu, is to procreate. We get that in Bereshit. But the first mitzvah that was commanded to the Jewish people as a nation was Rosh Chodesh. This particular Rosh Chodesh this year lands on Shabbat. Now, we know the power of Shabbat. We know that's one of the biggest days that you can get plugged into. Double stack it now with a Rosh Chodesh on it. Triple stack it Rosh Chodesh Nisan. This is one special day.
That was last week?
Coming up. This Shabbat. This Shabbat is Rosh Chodesh, Be'ezrat Hashem. Okay. Now, we've spoken about it many times in this class, how when these special spiritual prime times come along, we want to get plugged in because it's an auspicious time to tap into a lot of things on a spiritual level, on many different levels, on a personal level, on a religious level. And we want to highlight one thing that we always speak about. We speak about the name of God for the month. We know that God's name is Yud Kei Vav Kei, and there's 12 different configurations to that name, and each month there's a different name that you can call out during the prayer of Musaf on Rosh Chodesh. And should you plug in that particular name, you have the zechut, not the zechut, the merit to be able to really connect to God, because you're performing that pasuk. You're actually mekayem the pasuk of call out my name and I will answer you. From the Perek of Tehillim that we brought many times. We've said it so many times in this class. I'm saying it in short to lead into God's name of this month. The Yud Kei Vav Kei configuration of the month of Nisan is Yud Kei Vav Kei. Very easy to remember. It's exactly the way that we read it. And it corresponds to the pasuk, Yismechu hashamayim v'tagel haaretz. Letting us know that on this month, the heaven and the earth are lined up. Yismechu hashamayim v'tagel haaretz. There's a big connections of the heavens and the earth during this month. The rabbis tell us, Nisan shebo naasim leIsrael. Nisan shebo naasim nisim leIsrael. Nisan, that is the month that miracles happen or miracles are made for the nation of Israel. So, focus on this opportunity. Manifest a personal miracle in all areas of your life. Again, everyone has their own struggle. Whatever it is that they're dealing with, whether it's on a personal level, with family, with marriages, with zivugim, with health, with business, with finances, with religion, whatever it is that you're wrestling with, and some things that you feel only a miracle can save me, this would be a good time on Rosh Chodesh Nisan to say, Hashem, this is the month of miracles. I need my own private miracle in this particular issue. Help me out. That's what's available. Tap into it. Ask. This is not the energy of Cheshvan. It's not the energy of Av. The rabbis are telling us this is the Nisan Shebo Naasim Nisim Yisrael. Thank you, Rabbi. Amen. A reminder, since Rosh Chodesh is on Shabbat, you can't pray for money on Shabbat. So try to get around that. Try to say it differently. Tell Hashem, make me successful in everything I do. He'll get the message. It's not the time to say, 1.5 by December. Whatever it is that people pray for. But remember, don't pray for money on Shabbat. That's a little disclaimer. Also on the Rosh Chodesh Nisan, look, we didn't get past the first day yet. Could you imagine? What a powerful day the first day of Nisan is. The Mishkan was inaugurated about 3,300 years ago. The Mishkan, the portable tabernacle or the portable sanctuary that the Jews traveled with in the desert, was inaugurated on this day, Rosh Chodesh Nisan. And beginning on Rosh Chodesh Nisan and continuing through the 13th of Nisan, special offerings were brought. Several gifts that started with the Nachshon ben Aminadav from the Shevet of Yehuda, and then similar offerings were brought by the rest of the tribes. And then on the 13th day of Nisan, God instructed Aharon regarding the kindling of the menorah, which represented the participation of the tribe of Levi. So we have Nachshon ben Aminadav represents Yehuda, the other 11 tribes, and then Levi at the end represented by Aaron, and that is the process of the Nesiim. And during this time, every single day, since Rosh Chodesh Nisan and every day after, we have the special reading of the Nesiim. So you're going to have maybe an extra 5 to 7 minutes in shul during these days, because we take out the Torah and we read the special offering that each Nesi, each prince of each tribe brought. And we recite a short prayer where we say it, I'll say it in English. It says, and this is, we say it before each tribe, each day, it's the same thing. It says, if I, your servant, am from the tribe of, fill in the blank, Yehuda, Issachar, Zevulun, whatever tribe I'm in, right? If I, your servant, am from the tribe of Yehuda, whose section of the Nasi I have read today in your Torah, may all the sparks and holy illuminations that are included within the holiness of this tribe shine upon me, to grant me understanding and intelligence in your Torah and my awe of you, to do your will all the days of my life.
This is in front of with the Torah out?
Yeah, right before it starts, the whole congregation says this. Since we don't clearly know which tribe we come from, and we're trying to tap into our root, into our shoresh, to our essence. Who am I? Am I from Ephraim? Am I from Issachar? Am I from Zevulun? Because your root is your essence, and you want to tap into that. So since we don't really know, we know that there's the 10 lost tribes of Israel. Can't wait to give that class. Then we know that we're all basically from a mix of some other tribes, mostly Yehuda, and we're all considered Israel. However, we still have a root from which tribe that we come from. So in order to tap into the original tribe that we came from, and in order to draw the holiness and the spiritual elevation from the proper conduit, from the proper tribe, we say this little prayer over here, that if I, your servant, am from the tribe of, fill in the blank, that whose section today I read, Hashem, give me that spiritual energy that I need from my tribe. Could you imagine that? This makes me think of like the Indian tribes and some sort of like sect that they belong to. And it has that feeling, but in reality, that's us. That's us. We come from the 12 tribes, and where you come from is Yeshorish. Why? Because each one has a different talent. Each one has a different gift that was given from God. And if I come from that tribe that has that gift, I want that to shine in me, because that's where I'll be the most successful. If I'm from the tribe of Yisachar, let me shine as a learner. If I'm from the tribe of Zevulun, let me shine as a merchant. Let me be an incredible businessman. Let me tap into that tribe that belongs to me and get that spiritual energy as part of my life, as part of my upcoming year. Think about that when you go to shul for the first few weeks of Chodesh Nisan. And the intention on these days, this kavanah that you're supposed to have, needs to be connected to this pasuk. Keep in mind, we're speaking about the Mishkan right now, and we're talking about the Nesiim. But let's take this point a little bit further. The pasuk says, we just read it a few weeks ago, V'asu li mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham. Let them make me a sanctuary that will dwell among them. This is what Kadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu. Let them create a sanctuary, and in this sanctuary I'll be living amongst them. And by the way, God was living with the Jews for 40 years in the desert. It's a long time to have that Holy Spirit around. Just goes to show you the greatness of the Jewish people at that time. But there's a different way to learn that pasuk. V'asu li mikdash v'shachanti betocham. They will build for me a sanctuary and I will live inside of them. You have to think about it, that God wants to live inside of you. You are the sanctuary. And the more you become a vessel, the more you feel God living with you or living in your life, part of your everyday. Tapping into the Nasi of the day, tapping into the special tribe of the day, helps you channel that spiritual energy to your neshama. Why? Because it was done in the Mishkan. And nowadays we don't have the Mishkan. So who's the Mishkan? You're the Mishkan. V'shachanti betocham. I will live inside of them. So what are you doing every day? You're bringing up the offering of the Nasi on the Mishkan, in you. What was that? That was the way they inaugurated the Mishkan on Nisan. So you have a very special way to connect to God this month. So right around this time of after Rosh Chodesh and after we finish the whole Nesiim that we read every day, right around that time, we're days away from Pesach. And we're actually one Shabbat away. And the Shabbat right before Pesach is called Shabbat HaGadol. The big Shabbat, the grand Shabbat. So, this Shabbat before Pesach, the history of it is that it's the Shabbat before the Jews got out of Mitzrayim. That was the Shabbat. In other words, Yetziat Mitzrayim was happening. The Shabbat right before it is called Shabbat HaGadol. That was the Shabbat HaGadol in history.
That's next, not this Shabbat, next Shabbat.
It's the Shabbat before Pesach. Right before Pesach, there's a Shabbat. That's Shabbat HaGadol.
What's the Shabbat called between Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah?
Shabbat... Not Shabbat Zachor, Shabbat Shuvah. Shabbat Shuvah.
So is this Shabbat?
You know what's the difference between the two?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Shabbat Shuvah, the one right before Kippur and Rosh Hashanah, has its own unique power. It basically, regardless of how you kept every single Shabbat of that year, that Shabbat has the power to repair all the Shabbatot of that year. This Shabbat has a different energy. That Shabbat is huge too. Shabbat Shuvah. This particular Shabbat, like we said, it's the Shabbat that the Jews, right before the Jews got out of Mitzrayim. This is the Shabbat where they had the lamb tied to their bedpost. The whole time you're hearing meh, meh in the house, just to get a little bit of feel for it. This is the time where they did Korban Pesach in Mitzrayim. And you have to understand, the lamb was their god. Okay? And they took their god in front of a nation of Egyptians and slaughtered their god, barbecued it, and ate it in their face. And this is the Korban Pesach. This is also the Korban Pesach that was the big Korban that brought the Jews closer to God. And the people had to do the Brit Milah before they can eat from it. They said it had the smell of Gan Eden. That people that didn't want to do the Brit Milah and be part of the Geulah, they said, I'm willing to do a Brit Milah just for the smell. I've never smelled meat like this. I want to eat it. Could you imagine? But that was during that time period. And basically the difference with this Shabbat is that all the Shabbatot of the year reach the lower heavens. Shabbat HaGadol, it's the only Shabbat that reaches the higher heavens. Don't ask me what that means. All I know is that this is the only Shabbat that reaches the higher heavens. That's all I need to know. I don't need more details. And basically the Shabbat has the power to influence all the Shabbatot of the upcoming year. So the way you keep this particular Shabbat, besides the fact that it's the Shabbat right before Pesach, which we always know that the Shabbat, whatever it is coming up during that week, it has that energy. So it has the energy of Pesach, the energy of the Seder, the energy of freedom, Geulah. Regardless of all that, it also has the influence on all the rest of the Shabbatot. Should you keep that Shabbat properly, the rest of the Shabbatot are going to have a little bit of a turbo boost, or those things that helps it along the way, because you kept that Shabbat properly. You know, you got to get into this particular Shabbat, like a holiday mode or Shabbat mode. You know, it's a mode that you're in on that Shabbat. You can't walk in onto Shabbat. Whatever happens, happens. If the food is good, great. If it's bad, I'm going to complain about it. I'm going to walk into shul. If somebody bothers me, I'm going to act up. I'm going to say something this week. You know what? If I'm feeling tired, I don't feel like learning this Shabbat. You can't step into that mode. This is a different mode. This is prime time mode. You step into Shabbat saying, the Shabbat, I'm going to pray with kavanah, with meaning. The Shabbat, I'm going to allocate some time so I can pray and so I can study. The Shabbat, I'm not getting angry. The Shabbat, I'm going to be happy. The Shabbat, nothing is going to bother me. You put yourself in this protective envelope so you can have like a perfect Shabbat, more or less. So like that, the rest of the year can get influence from that essence of that particular Shabbat. Don't leave yourself open to get caught by Yetzer Hara. Get ready. Be prepared. Be 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of Yetzer Hara on this Shabbat. Should he come around? Why? It's Shabbat HaGadol. Why? Reaches the higher heavens. This is also typically the Shabbat where the rabbi gives a big speech. There's several times during the year where the rabbis are somewhat obligated to give certain speeches. One of them is this Shabbat HaGadol, is to rally up the congregation, has to get motivated for Pesach, for the energy that's available, all the segulot that are available, the feeling that you should have, the holiday that we're in, the time and place in history, the time and place that we're in now, to motivate the Kahan to feel the holiday. Similarly, how on Shabbat Shuvah, the rabbi gets up to motivate the congregation to do teshuvah, to do repentance. So, on this Shabbat HaGadol also, this was the time where the Jews were instructed to prepare for the Geulah. They say, hey, get ready. This is your last Shabbat in Mitzrayim. After this, we're out of here. You're being redeemed. The redemption is here. So, it's a good time during Shabbat HaGadol to pray for your private Geulah. For your private redemption. You need to visualize it. You need to crystallize it. You have to imagine your personal redemption. Again, we said each one and his Mitzrayim, each one and his baggage, whether it's again health, finances, love, children, child raising, childbearing, pregnancies, whatever it is. Everyone's got their bundle. Start to think about it. Give it some time. Give it some attention. And when you come to Shabbat Gadol, what do? You say, Hashem, we were preparing for Geulah. I'm preparing for my private Geulah. I'm preparing for my private redemption. I want to get out of this financial hole. I want to get out of this quicksand that I'm in with my wife, that I can't have Shlom Bayit. Hashem, I want to get out of the situation that I have. That person may say he has some health issues. Start preparing for your personal redemption. Why? This is the month for it. Ask for it. And after Shabbat HaGadol, this leads into the holiday of Pesach. Now, the holiday itself is one of the three regalim. These are three of the major holidays. We have Shavuot, we have Sukkot, and we have Pesach. And this holiday, in essence, commemorates the redemption from Mitzrayim, the Geulah. And it also begins the birth of a new nation, the birth of Am Yisrael. Before, we're just a family, Jacob's family. Now we're a nation. And this particular holiday is one of the most stringent holidays in the Jewish year. There's no leniencies with Chametz. See, there's a prohibition for Chametz. It shouldn't be eaten. It cannot be enjoyed. It can't be found, and it can't be seen. Those are the four things that the rabbis tell us, are the halachot for chametz. Can't eat it, can't enjoy it in any way, can't sell chametz, can't own a grocery store and sell pancake mix and rye bread during Pesach. You can't enjoy. It can't be found, can't be in your premises, in your home, in your car. And it can't be seen. You can't even see it. That's why when we have chametz, what do? We have a special closet. We tape it up. We take things to storage. We put it where we can't be seen. You can't go into your cupboard and have Oreo cookies on the right and a matzah box on the left.
Even if you sell it?
Even if you sell it, it can't be seen. It needs to be covered.
In the four, you didn't mention you're not allowed to own it.
You're right. I did not. But that's one of it. Because it says over there, well, maybe I'm just reading one particular halakha that says, Lo ye'achel, lo yira'eh, lo yimatzeh, or any hana'ah. You know what? Maybe the no yimatzeh won't be found, or any hana'ah, you can't have any pleasure from it. I think if we continue reading in the halachot book, no hana'ah, you can't have any pleasure. It means that you have to sell it, so you don't actually own it. But that's true. We sell our chametz. I didn't want to go, by the way, too much into Pesach, the holiday itself, because we're going to do that next week, because there's so much over there. But I just want to know that it's one of the days, one of the weeks to get plugged in. Get plugged into Pesach. Don't sleep on this holiday. This is a 7-day, 8-day block that has tremendous powers.
There's a lot of praying.
There's a lot. You should enjoy prayer. You have to know how to enjoy prayer. And in order, just to touch a little bit about this chametz, in order to perform this halakha, we clean our homes, we clean our cars, we clean our workplace, we eat only kefir pea, we drink only kefir pea. And there's no concept of batel b'shishim on this holiday. We spoke about it in previous classes, that there are certain things that if it's 1/60th, if a drop of milk goes into a pot of meat stew, it gets mixed into it, it gets cancelled out. There's no batel b'shishim. There's not one. You can't take a morsel of bread and put it into a huge kosher for Passover meal and say, oh, it's a batel b'shishim. Oh, just take it out. There's not even batel be'elif, not even in 1,000, not even in 1,000,000. Very, very stringent on chametz in Pesach. And in this 1 week that during the year, there's all this preparation for it. And it's not just a physical cleanup, but it's a spiritual clean house too. And this is the point that I wanted to get to. Because because all the different halachot we'll do in the next class, but it's the personal chametz that you have to take out during this time. As you're cleaning the house, instead of saying, "Oh, I can't stand this. I can't stand to clean it. Oh, man, where's the cleaning lady? I can't believe she called in sick today of all days." Instead of thinking that way, clean and think, what about my chametz? What's my spiritual chametz? What's my negative spiritual baggage of last year that I got to get rid of? Where did I err? Where was I wrong? Let that be your food for thought as you're cleaning, as opposed to just hating every second that you're there. Keep yourself busy thinking about your personal chametz. Why? Because this is the time to get rid of it. This is the time to get rid of all the spiritual baggage that you've been carrying on. And everybody knows what it is. Maybe one guy didn't wait 6 hours between meat and milk. You got to bring that in with you. That's your chametz. Maybe you didn't wake up every day to go to minyan. That's your chametz. Maybe you didn't even pray as much as you should have. Maybe that's your chametz. Maybe a person is not keeping Shabbat properly. That's your chametz. Maybe you're not dealing in business properly. That's your chametz. Maybe you're not respecting your wife, or your mouth is filthy. That's your chametz. Bring your negative spiritual baggage with you into Pesach and do this clean house as well. Clean yourself up. It's not just the house. It's your inside as well. The Mishkan. Clean up the Mishkan. And typically, what do we do with the chametz? We put it in a pile, right? We go somewhere, we burn it, and that's it. We're done. We're done with it. No more chametz. Pesach. What a feeling. There's no better feeling than after you burn the chametz. You come home. Well, what'd you do? I burned the chametz. Wow. I feel like a man. Do the same thing. Burn your personal chametz. Come to your wife, come to your children, come to your friends, come to your business partner, come to your brother-in-law that you haven't spoken to in 3 years. Listen, I burnt my spiritual chametz. Let's put everything behind us. Let's start fresh. You'd be surprised how easy it is to clean the heart of chametz. A lot of people carry baggage with them. I'm never talking to this guy. I'm never going to go over to his house. I'm never going to do business with him. I don't want to talk to him. This cousin, this aunt, this friend, this neighbor. Everyone has all this thing that they carry with them, and they think that it's so. It's like this outstanding beef that you have with somebody. It's been for so long. It's not even worth fixing it. It's going to take so much work to bring it back to where it's in a good place. The rabbis tell us no, actually. It's actually very easy. You know why? It says, "Bechipazon yatzanu miMitzrayim." We got out of Mitzrayim quickly, in a hurried state. So if you visualize your Mitzrayim, like we said, bring Mitzrayim with you into Nisan. What's your Mitzrayim? Your struggles, the things that you're wrestling with. Put it all in the package. Everything. Just put it on your back and walk into Nisan with it and say, Hashem, here's all my problems. I want it all gone. Same thing when you have your chametz, when you have the people that you're dealing with, you can just say, this is on the table. Bechipazon yatzu b'Mitzrayim. All that can quickly dissipate. All that can quickly go away. Because that's what happened then. That's what can happen now. Listen to this. We can do everything that I'm saying right now any day of the week, any month, any day of the year. Everything that I'm saying right now could be done today. Could be done in 3 months from now. It could all be done. However, we have the potential to do it on a much higher level and on every level this month. Try it. Try bringing all your problems, if it's even possible, into the month of Nisan. You have a better chance at getting things scratched off or eliminated or dissipate from the spiritual baggage that you're carrying on this month. And how? Hurriedly. Why? Because that's the way the Jewish people got out of Mitzrayim. That's the energy that's available for you to get out of your personal Mitzrayim. There's also the incredible mitzvah of the Haggadah, and this we'll do in a separate lesson, but just briefly about the Haggadah. The mitzvah is to tell over the story of the Exodus, and especially to children. It says, "Ve'igata lebanecha." When it comes to Pesach, when it comes to the Seder, there's a lot of people in the room, a lot of adults, a lot of children. Look for the children. On the Haggadah night, look for kids. Sit them down and just tell them the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim. In the past few weeks, we've been talking about Yetziat Mitzrayim and everything that's happening in the desert. You should be in good shape with all the Divrei Torah from the past few Parashot HaShavua. Grab a kid and start telling him. That's the mitzvah of the night. And then grab another kid, and another kid, and another kid. And as soon as they start to drop and go to bed and fall asleep, do a chidush with an adult. The story is to tell the story of Exodus, especially to the kids. Keep that in mind. It's a super important part of that night. The Geula, the redemption, is embedded in this night. It's embedded in this month. So, the personal redemption that we're looking for is available in this month. The rabbis tell us, Benisan nigalu, Benisan atidim leigael. In Nisan they were redeemed, and in Nisan they are going to be redeemed in the future, in the time of Mashiach. But however, even though that we're constantly waiting for Mashiach, and by the way, this is the month to wait for Mashiach. There's people now walking the street saying, Mashiach is coming, Mashiach is coming, Nisan is here, Mashiach is coming. There's no better time or better chance for the Mashiach to come than Nisan. However, let's learn that pasuk differently. Benisan nigalu, in Nisan they got redeemed, they got saved. Benisan atidim leigael. In Nisan, they are destined to be redeemed. So, if Mashiach doesn't come, does that mean that I'm not getting redeemed? Hashem says no. You have your personal redemption that comes to you every Nisan. Every Nisan you have a redemption. It's your personal redemption. The overall, all-encompassing Geula of Mashiach, that's also available. Should we merit it, Be'ezrat Hashem. But if not, your personal redemption, that's available in this month. Benisan nigalu, benisan atidim leigael. Who? Us. Every year. There's a higher probability of Geula, of redemption this year than this month than any other month. So tap into it. Like we said.
Going back to the Seder for 1 second.
Yes.
Question I've been asked of you probably 100,000 times. Second Seder.
Yes.
How critical is it here in this time frame?
It's of most importance.
Tell me.
At the end of the class, I'll give you a private 5-minute answer on that. Because it's a long answer and it needs a preface in order to understand it. But I got you.
Okay.
So like we said before, Bechipazon yatzanu miMitzrayim. We hurriedly got out of Mitzrayim. So take that pasuk and internalize it. Bechipazon, hurriedly, with speed, we got out of Mitzrayim. With speed, we got out of our personal Mitzrayim. That's what that means. In other words, if we want to get out of our struggles, we have to take drastic measures. If a person has the struggles in life, work, addictions, family issues, you have the ability to get out of these big, long-standing situations this month. How? Just the way the Jews went from slavery to freedom overnight, whatever your issue is, with a quick positive decision, you can quickly get out of your Mitzrayim. That's the formula. Bechipazon yatzu miMitzrayim. That's the formula. Whatever your Mitzrayim is, you can quickly get out of it with a good, positive, quick decision. In other words, as soon as Nisan comes around, you know what? I'm deciding I'm not doing this anymore. I'm switching the way that I make a living. I'm switching the way that I interact with my wife. I'm switching the relationship that I have with my brother-in-law. You make a quick, positive, drastic decision, you're going to get out of your Mitzrayim. Bechipazon yatzanu mitzrayim. Still in the holiday of Pesach, we have the 7th day of Pesach, which we'll also do a separate lesson on. We're not going to get into it tonight. However, just an honorable mention about this night. This is the date, the actual date of the splitting of the sea. The actual day that it happened on. And one of the biggest miracles in the history of the world. The biggest miracles that this world has ever seen was the splitting of the sea. We're still talking about it today. The Talmud, the Midrash, the Haggadah speaks volumes of what happened on that day. There's books that can fill up this room speaking about Yetziat Mitzrayim. Not to mention the Bizat Hayam, all the riches that the Jews got. They got a tremendous amount of riches just after Yetziat Mitzrayim. The gold and the diamonds and the jewels were just, the sea was spitting it out for them. So what happened then can happen now. If the splitting of the sea happened then, if there's a miracle to get out of Mitzrayim, out of the norm, besides the realm of nature, if the Jewish people went from rags to riches, if it happened on that day, it could happen to me as well. On that day, on the 7th day of Pesach, I say, whatever happened then, I want for myself today. And find out, where do you need your splitting of the sea? What's the other side of the ocean that you need to be on? If Mitzrayim is here, and your redemption is on the other side, visualize it. And visualize it clearly on that day. And if you're struggling with Parnasah, Hashem, just the way they went from rags to riches on Yetziat Mitzrayim, me too, Hashem, please bless me with bracha and atzlacha, that I should have a blessing in all that I do. And for the Moroccan in the room, there's the night of the Mimuna, which is the last day of Pesach. And in short, we will save that for another class as well, but it's a very unique night. It's a very unique night that instills emunah in us. I could go on for hours about this particular night and its segulot, but just understand that it's a night that if you're struggling with emunah, if you need faith, if you need to believe in Hashem, if you need to get stronger in our religion, if you need to get stronger in the practice of the religion, that's a good night to tap into. Is that, huh? The 8th day. And I will, or sometime, it's the last day. Here in America, we do the 8th day. In Israel, it's actually the 7th day. Okay, but so it's both. So, Be'ezrat Hashem, we will visit that point in our next lesson. And the last part of this month is the Omer. The Omer, right after the Seder, we start counting. We start counting 49 days. The 49 days represent that God spoke to Moshe by Har Sinai, by the burning bush, and He told him that that on this mountain I will give you the Torah, bring the nation to here. And basically from the time that they reached, they had their Yetziat Mitzrayim until they reached Har Sinai, took him 49 days. And those 49 days are the days that we do spiritual refinement, character refinement between man and man and man and God. And these are very unique days, which we'll give a separate class on also. But again, that's what's available on Nisan. What a month! What a month! Look what's going on over here. So many things that you could do. I mean, imagine just every day you have something that you could do to better yourself, to better your neshama, to better your reality, to better the upcoming year. No other month has this many segulot. So many days that you can get plugged into and that have proven results. You know, Hashem showed us the potential in Yetziat Mitzrayim. He showed us what He could do. Then He gave us the Torah. He gave us the guidebook. He gave us a guidebook how to get there on our own. He showed us what's possible, and He says, by the way, you want the same? You want Yetziat Mitzrayim? You want miracles? You want success? You want strength? You want whatever you want? Here's the book. This is how you get it. First He showed it to us, then He gave us an instruction manual on how to do it on our own. That's why the word Bible is actually an acronym for basic instructions before leaving earth. That's what Hashem gave us. That's what He gave us. While you're here, here's the instruction manual. What does it do? Let me show you. And then it's up to you to manifest that in your life through living a Torah-based life. So in conclusion, get plugged in to these pit stops along the way in the month of Nisan, this month of miracles, and get your own miracle revealed in your life. Let's do a recap. Rosh Chodesh Nisan started off the right way, and with Shabbat, super unique Rosh Chodesh this year. Birkat Ilanot, look for the budding trees and begin the budding of your new year. Birkat Nesi'im, connect to the energies of the tribes and the conduit that corresponds to your personal neshama. Shabbat HaGadol, the biggest Shabbat of the year, has influence on the rest of the Shabbatot of the upcoming year. Pesach, the holiday of Pesach, which we'll discuss more in future classes, as well as the Seder, with this unique night with its mitzvot, customs. Don't forget to find the kid that night. Don't forget to find kids and tell them the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim. The 7th day of Pesach, the splitting of the sea, how the Jews became rich overnight. The last day of Pesach, the day of Emunah, the Mimuna. And then finish off the month with the Omer, the spiritual refinement leading you to receive the Torah in a fresh way this year and every year. Could you imagine if you really, really, really want a change in your life in any level, in any category? This month has the power for it. Have a Chodesh Tov and a Shabbat Shalom and a Chag Sameach. שיטו ליבכם לחילה, פסגו אמונותיה למען תספרו דור אחרון. שהשם יברך אתכם ושמח אתכם.
Amen.
Thank you very much.